that what you're trying to tell me? Maybe? I forgot about that part. You can make a stop in between, go from A to C. And that will not change your answer. Plus from C to B. Like what? If I said to you, okay, well, you know what? How about we integrate this? What is the integral from minus 3 to 5 of the absolute value of x dx? Well, if you think about the absolute value of x, what is the absolute value of x? Anyone? What's the definition of the absolute value of x?
X, the square root of x squared.
Square of x squared? Well, yeah, well, you're right. That we can say the absolute. Well, it's not, but it's actually, I know what you're saying. The absolute value of x squared, the square root of x squared, we always say the absolute value of x to make sure it's positive. But the absolute value of x, the definition is x if x is greater than 0, and negative x if what? X is less than 0. Negative means really opposite, doesn't mean negative. The opposite, when x is a negative number, you take the opposite of that. We know the absolute value is always positive. So you say, wait a minute, I can't use x for this function to go from minus 3 to 5. Why? Because it's not the same function. It changes as you go from minus 3 to 0. We have a different function than from 0 to 5. So if you want to integrate that one, if you graph it, by the way, if you're looking at the graph, this is what the absolute value of x looks like. It's a V shape. So you want to find the area from minus 3, which is right here, to 5, which is right there. You're trying to find that area. It is not the same function. This one here, y equals to x, right there. This one, y equals what? Negative x. So in this case, I have to break that function down using this one. I got to integrate that from negative 3 to 0 and use negative x dx, because that's what the absolute value is when x is less than 0. Add to it from 0 to 5 x dx, because the function changes. It's nothing to do because the area is negative. There is no negative area here. But you have to write the definition of the absolute value of x, which is this one. It says if x is less than 0, you need to use that one. So you can't use x here from minus 3 to 5. It's a different function. You have to break it down to minus 3 to 0 plus from 0 to 5. Now, if I look at that, I can take the minus outside. What's the absolute value? I mean, the integral of x. X squared over 2, right? And this one from where? From minus 3 to 0. Notice no c's. I'm not putting c's there because it's a definite integral. What is the integral of x? X squared over 2 as x goes from 0 to 5. So plug in the value at 0. So for this one, it's going to be f of 0 minus f of negative 3. And for this is going to be what? F of 5 minus f of 0. Is it? I think your eyes. You've been looking at that stuff for a while, George.
These ones don't matter. What you use for f of a and f of b, right?
This is a this.
Minus negative 3 or negative 3.
Oh no, it will give you a negative value if you flip them. It's always the top value. That's a good question. It's always the top value minus the bottom. If you reverse them, your answer will be negative sign. So you don't want to reverse them. Like 5 minus 4, you put 4 minus 5, you end up always a minus value. So you're always going to be the top value minus the bottom value. The top value minus the bottom value.
Top value has to be always greater than the bottom value, right? You know.
Well, if you're looking for there, yes, it will be there. Yep. So now f of 0, we go to this one. What do we have here? 0 minus, what's the answer? F of minus 3. That's 9 over 2, which is what? 4.5 with the minus. That's negative 4.5, right? What's f of 5? 5 squared, 25 over 2, 12 and a half. What's f of 0? That's positive 4.5 plus 12.5, and my answer is what, 17? And again, if we did this one right, if we go and do the math here, my answer is going to be 17. Let's look at the picture. This is going to 5, right? This piece going to 5, this is what? Minus 3? What's the height here? 5. What's the area of this triangle? Base times height over 2. 5 times 5 is what? 25 divided by 2, that's 12 and a half. What's the area here? Base times height. What's your height here? 3. And what's the base, the distance? Nope. 3, because you're looking at a triangle. So the area for this is base, which is 3. Height is 3 divided by 2, that's what? 4.5. You add them, what do you have? 17. It happens to be on the left side, but the actual length of that base is 3 units long. And the actual height of it is 3 units long. So 3 times 3, that's 9 divided by 2, which is 4.5. Just like if you have a circle, and the circle on this side, we said r equals 4. What's the area? Pi r squared. If I put the circle on this side with r equals to 4, does that change the area to be negative? No, because it's pi r squared, pi r squared. So it's the same area. So just because the triangle on the left side, that doesn't mean the area is negative here. The actual base here is 3, the actual height is 3, so 9 over 2, which is 4.5. Let's try another indefinite integral. Let's say I have this function. I want to find the area. That's one of the applications for integration. Y equals 1 over x. And I want to find the area as x goes, I don't know. Let's pick 1 to, how about e? 1 to e. I want to find the area under 1 over x as x goes from 1 to e. 2.71, that's what e is. How do you find the area? To find the area is what? It's the integral from where? From 1 to e of the function 1 over x dx. What function has 1 over x for a derivative? Or what's the integral of 1 over x? Natural log. I was looking for the paper here. The natural log of x. Notice. The integral of x to the n dx equals this. When n is equal to 0, it's equal the natural log of x. It's the natural log of x plus c when n equals minus 1. You know? So if I use that here, that's why I gave you the e intentionally, to make my life easy. This way, the natural log of x from 1 to e. Always plug in the upper value first, the natural log of, I don't need the absolute value because e is a positive number, minus the natural log of 1. What's the natural log of e? 1. What's the natural log of 1?
0.
1 minus 0? 1. Again, unless I go through them and clean it. How about this one? I'm just trying to give you the basic information that you will need. So when you go to any school, you know the pieces here that, oh, okay, I remember seeing this. I know it's quick, but I remember seeing that. Let me change the letter. Instead of x, I'll use t dt. I don't know.
What is that at the top? Pi?
Pi.
Is it still 5.4?
Yeah, we're still in the same section, yep. If I go from 0 to pi, I don't even have to do the problem. Why? If I graph the cosine, let's look at the cosine C. Cosine looks like this, the cosine function. Right? This is the 2 pi, and this is pi. If the question didn't say find the area, just integrate that to go from 0 to pi, guess what they wanted? They wanted this one. So what is my answer going to be? My picture is not accurate, but close enough. What's my answer should be? It better be 0. Why? Because this area is going to be what? Positive, and that area is going to be negative. Equal sizes, they will cancel each other out. But if the problem says find the area between the cosine as x goes, and the x-axis as x goes from 0 to pi, I got to slice it right there. I got to break it down to 2 parts. So if they're looking for the area, if the question find the area, then I got to say I can't go from 0 to pi directly. I got to go 0 to 2 pi, pi over 2. And that's positive. So I don't need the absolute value of that. It's going to be a plus number, so I don't have to put absolute for it. But for the second part, to go from pi over 2 to pi, that answer is going to be what? Oh, dt, not dx. If I put t, better be t. This is going to be negative, so I better take the absolute value of that to give me the positive area. Now, what function has a cosine for a derivative? Sine. This will be sine pi over 2 to where? Pi. And let me take the absolute value of that. If you're looking for the area. If it just says integrate, then you go, oh, sine, plug in the limit, the answer is 0. But if they say find the area, the true area, you got to break it down. What's sine pi over 2? 1. What's sine of 0? 0. Here's the absolute value. What is sine of pi? 0 minus. What's sine pi over 2? 1. That's 1 plus 1. The answer is 2. That's the area. 2 square units, whatever the units are, inches, millimeters, centimeters squared. If it just says integrate, didn't say find the area, you gotta be careful when you do these problems. If it says integrate, then you go, the integral is what? Sine from 0 to pi. So it's sine of pi minus sine of 0. Oh. What is sine pi? 0, what's sine 0? 0 minus 0, the answer is 0. Again, the reason this area is positive 1, this area is negative 1, when you combine them together, they will cancel each other out. You end up with a 0. But if it says find the area, then you better integrate that. Break it down to where's the positive, where's the negative, where they cross the x-axis, and break the integral down to 2 pieces. I would recommend leave the homework alone at least till tomorrow. Let me go through them and clean them, because I'm going through just the stuff that you need to know. Initially, I thought I might have extra time, and I'll spend more time on them. So you're going to see me go through them tomorrow and take some of the questions out. Just leave the stuff we cover and the stuff that I think you should know if you're transferring to any school. Like some of the stuff they're discussing here is if you have a derivative and you want to get rid of it, guess what the best way to get rid of it? Beside that, integrate, because they're the inverse of each other.